Right, let's bring you a first listen to Frank Lampard in some fiery exchanges with journalists at today's Chelsea news conference. There's been 5 defeats in 8 games for Lampard, but he's been unhappy at what he deems as unfair criticism in the media of himself and the club. Here's an extended listen.
You said before that you need to just block out the noise when you hear speculation regarding your future. When there's other managers' names, successors' names being bandied around, that must be difficult. How do you block out that noise?
I don't listen to it.
But when it's everywhere, it's hard to.
No, I don't. Well, I don't. It's only everywhere. If you want to go scroll through maybe social media or something, I don't do that. I'm not stupid. Do you know what I mean? I know what the pressures that come with managing a top football club, but I only do my job, so it doesn't matter to me.
Is it any more difficult because of the fact you were a player at Chelsea for such a long period of time, and you experienced firsthand how ruthlessly managers?
No, absolutely not, because my career here as a player was fantastic and it's set in stone. And when I say fantastic, I'm not giving it the big I am. I'm talking about the success that I was proud to be part of at the club. And the link I have here with the fans and the support I get from them is amazing. And I knew when I came into this job as a manager that can change the tone of it. You know, there are things that you can't control going forward. You do your best, and I'll continue to do that all the time while I'm managing the club, because I feel the club. It doesn't change how I feel. Wherever I'd work, it's the kind of person I am. Wherever I work, whatever the club it is, I'll give my all.
Thanks, Frank. Best
Thank
luck
you.
on Sunday.
Cheers.
John Southall, 5 Live.
Hi Frank. As you mentioned, you've seen the pressure as a player from the other side of the fence on managers at Chelsea. How are you finding it at the moment? How tough a period is it for you?
The pressure's fine. Listen, you're obviously more happy when you're winning games. You know, I was more happy in November and October than I've been in sort of mid-December onwards. But it comes with the territory. I think you can look around the Premier League and you can see teams this season that have had problems, teams now that are having problems that we're not used to having problems. So for me, I just have to get on with the job.
I mean, you know the hierarchy at this club better than probably most people. Have you had a chat with them? Have you spoken to them? I'm
not going to talk about private conversations. So I played here for a long time, but the situation changes from being a player here 13 years to managing the club. So I have much more conversations with the hierarchy than I ever had as a player.
Do you think the new players you've brought in have been a bit surprised by the intensity of the Premier League? We saw last night with Burnley that any team can beat anybody else. Has that surprised them, do you think?
Well, I think some of the new lads have been quoted as saying that. We've got the most physical and fastest league in the world. We feel that here, and I think it's pretty clear to see. So, when I talk about players needing adaptation, and we've seen great players need time in this league to kick in, especially when they're young, because they're coming to this league fresh, then it's very normal if they do feel like that.
And how much time do you think it will? I mean, it's a difficult question. Probably it will take to get the best out of this group, and you keep saying it's a work in progress. But I mean, how long do you think it is until you?
Well, what marker are you putting on that?
Well, this season, will you need another next season until we see the best?
Well, I'm not going to sit and talk about next season. It will be a nonsense. Any manager in a job in the Premier League wouldn't talk about the next season, because you can only worry about what's in front of you.
I mean, will it take that long to get the full potential out of the new players to settle into the Premier League? And see
well, again, I'll ask you the same thing. What's the marker on that? What are you talking about to get someone playing, like Eden Hazard did in the prime of his career here? What are you asking for?
Yeah, well, this season, when are we going to see the best of the new players? I suppose the question.
That's what we're working to, yeah.
Liam Toomey.
Hi Frank, I wanted to ask a question about Petr. At a time like this, when confidence seems to be low in the squad and lots of players individually seem to be struggling, how valuable is it to have someone else around the first team who, like you, has had a similar winning mentality as a player and similar experience of good and bad times at the very top level?
Well, to be fair, Liam, I think if their confidence would be shot if they were to read some of the pieces that you write at the minute, because I read some of them, and some of the confirmation bias that you always reflect on games with, and it's like a sort of almost like a social media pundit to try and get a reaction in a negative way. I read the pieces when we were doing well as well, and they didn't go both ways. So I think for a journalist to be objective would be a big start, because if players do read it, I'd feel like that. In terms of Pete, I think his experience is vital for the club, that we use our experiences, because even in years that we were successful and we look back and we're holding trophies, there were tough moments in them. Tough moments to whatever degree, and there's some really solid squads in those years as well. So we've been there before. We know what it takes to turn the corner, so we work together on that.